Hello, everyone. We are holding a meeting to discuss the HAProxy downtime requirements for the HAProxy upgrade. And I'm going to share my screen. I have the first item, which is to just try to get a sense of why we need to have a downtime event for the HAProxy upgrade. I read through a little bit of the background here, and it seems to me that we need to change the node pool for the new nodes. And doing that is like a destructive event. Does that sound right? And is there
Yeah,
anything I'm
so
missing there?
yeah, so in the Epic upgrade in the Epic update that you linked, the assumption was that we just needed to replace the node pools. However, in the MR that you linked, I came to the realization that basically that also forces a replacement of the internal LB for
Hmm.
CI, the general internal LB, which means that we cannot guarantee that the IP is going to stay the same.
Hmm.
So we're not talking about something that might disrupt might be disrupted for like a fraction of a second while the node pool is switched over, but something that potentially carries uh well DNS caching playing into the whole situation, um, which is why it's probably a more delicate change than I first anticipated.
I don't recall, but is it that we don't set a static IP for the internal ILBs?
It's provisioned in the module itself, so in the ELB
So
module. So it would be possible to rework it to be able to specify an IP object. However, because we're not using a reserved IP already, we would need to do the IP switch regardless.
yeah.
Um,
Okay, so we're not using a reserved IP right now.
nope,
I see.
not as far as I could tell.
So we're not using a static IP. I wasn't sure, and honestly, like this was point number three. Like, I don't think there's anything that depends on the IP for the eternal load balancer. Are you aware of anything?
Yeah, it's just the DNS. So the DNS record will be automatically updated by Terraform. However, stuff that uses the internal load balancer, such as pages, GitLab shell, um,
Hmm.
etc. Um, if that caches DNS, that can be problematic.
Yeah, yeah,
Also, we've seen that the Google Metadata Service, which does the DNS in GCP, also really likes caching aggressively for DNS records.
yeah.
So like the blast radius of how this is gonna blow up basically is kind of unknown.
Um,
So this is
okay,
why
so yeah, I see now.
so I
Okay,
guess the best
so
way would kind of be to schedule a maintenance and then
yeah, I see.
just go ahead and do the switch and then make sure to like just ensure every cache that could be there is cleared by whatever means necessary,
Yeah.
so that we can kind of see what the actual effect of the change is.
And bouncing back up to point number two, so are we only talking about the internal LBs as an
Yes.
issue? If we took away the internal LBs, we wouldn't have any downtime, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
right now, so the changes split into two merge requests. So one that you've linked is the 4951, and 4950 is the one for the other ones. Because they're not using the internal load balancer module, we can just
Hmm.
concatenate the node pool there and
I see.
gently swift over. Um, but for the zonal load balancers, that's not the case.
Yeah. And okay, so moving on to point number four. This is how like naively, based on my very surface level understanding, like, can we just create a new DNS entry and then move everything over?
I mean, we could probably maybe do that for the internal one. I'm not sure about the CI ones because there's a lot. It's probably more hassle than it's worth, I think. Um,
I
the
think for the
changing the internal
CI,
LP
this,
is probably easy. It's
yeah,
just that we then need to also change the configuration everywhere where that's been used. And it's kind of been a pain to update it as it is right now, because there's a few consumers there.
I'm just
Um,
wondering, like, I'm just wondering whether there's an opportunity here to, one is like, if we don't set a static IP for the internal IPs, we could do that. We could fix the module, or even like, I don't know how much cruft is in that module that we use for the internal LBs, but maybe there's an opportunity we can clean that up a bit. Just provision new internal LBs with a new DNS, and then and now we have them both running in parallel, right? New internal LBs are pointing to the new HAProxy fleet. Old internal LBs are pointing to the old HAProxy fleet, and then we just move the DNS over. I mean, you're right. We need to identify everywhere we connect to the internal LBs and change that configuration, but I think it's not going to be too bad. Like I think it's only in 3 or 4 places. For the CI stuff, there is the option. The CI stuff was only done to save money. We could even disable that temporarily, but I would say like,
yeah, that sounds like a reasonable idea actually. Because for the internal LB, I think it's feasible to create a temporary stand-in,
mhm,
or even just a permanent stand-in and just rip down the old one afterwards.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I don't mind just flipping. I don't think they're, yeah, famous last words, right? Like, is anything depending on int.gprod.gitlab.net?
I
Um,
believe so.
I
So, but
mean, I know in the application there's plenty of
yeah,
things using it, but I'm thinking outside of the application if there's anything that uses it, and
I mean, we
can't.
could we could like add a CNAME as well
Hmm.
as like after we've removed the old one, add a CNAME to the new one and be like, okay, if something breaks, we can.
Yeah, because I mean, we use a star cert, right, for star, so it's like it doesn't matter what the host name is. It can be int001, it can be int, it can be foo.
Yeah, that should work. Yeah.
So yeah, this sounds like, are you okay with this?
Yeah, that sounds good. So we
Okay.
can't do that for CI, I think, because there's like when I looked into the Terraform stuff, there was a lot of policies, and also configuring the CI environments and that kind of stuff. So that's probably if we can just turn off CI, the CI HAProxy usage while we're doing the migration, and then turning it back on again afterwards. That's probably the easiest way to deal with CI.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like pretty sure this is feature flagged or easy to change. Can you you know that Ahmad is like the best person to talk to about this, since he's the one who set this up originally, or um or Tomas. Obviously, he knows everything. But yeah. I if you don't get far with that, just let me know. I was also like involved in it, not heavily involved, but like involved enough that I can probably help. Um, it would be also better, like, I mean, more people should know about this CI stuff, this configuration. It's pretty opaque, I think, to SREs, like how that's configured. I'm not sure if I even remember like all the details, so that maybe we could check the run books and um, get that stuff updated. And I was kind of serious, half serious at least, about like if this internal LB Terraform module is really bad, we could maybe fix it in a way that it's nicer. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's actually too bad. So
Okay.
the it has pretty strong guarantees that stuff doesn't change.
Hmm.
So there's a lifecycle prevent deletion rule in place, um, which also makes the CI job fail for the merge request because you need to manually hack in local copies of the Terraform files to make that work. Um,
Cool. Okay. That's
but yeah,
pretty much all I
sounds
had.
like a
So yeah, let's try to sketch this out, see if it'll work, and if it does, then we can avoid the downtime.
yeah, I mean we could so we can probably sketch this out to also do that on staging, which
Yeah.
I guess the proper way to do it.
Yeah.
And then if we can, yeah, then that works, then we can do it in production.
Cool, man. Uh, that's all I have.